but it's chicken pate. None of it makes any sense. And with this cracker, it's almost like a crispy burger with French fries. It's crunchy. This is a really fun ration. It's totally like minced chicken breast with additional fat, flavor. Yeah. Croatian soldiers. Breathing. And what's that? This right here. He probably just mix these two. The pie is overpowering its own like metal flavor. More so than like peanut butter and not say the pineapple is sweet, juicy, violent, excellent, slightly fried cheese, it's like candy, and slightly absolutely fantastic. The cheese, right, the layer one, less of that bizarre melon flavor that is the required taste. It is. I can see, but let's see, now back to dinner. It's down the trick. Switch it off back. Yeah, still.
What would I fucking ask?
First, let's sizzle it up and bring it over. Orange juice. Also, that's next version. It's called Keep Your Immunity Up. Wait for the vitamin C, vitamin E complex. These are pretty nice. That orange drink, unlike any other really, it's a tang times two essentially orange drink from Croatia. One instead of here, forget this stuff. It's really cool though. It's already good. It's too effects. Not being wow, this is up. Special orange juice. Some plan. Something good. Carbonated orange. Here, this. So weird. So we do a commando, kind of like Croatian commando. That's what you do. Out here. I want to see you remember. You know, I think Croatians, they can rations in the house, you recognize them, it tastes harder to go actually want it. You have these biscuits, they just get thicker and slimy. Traditional. So we get a land for my beer. So no way, because half of this is made. Okay, it's mental. The bean, sausage, slightly herbal, hazel, tomato sauce. It's very much got honey sauce, really good. The steaks, too. There's so much sodium. It's almost like it's not real. That's why I see good biscuits for that rated super thing. I'm gonna check that out last. This ration is not messing around. I really like this thing because it's focusing on providing a lot of sodium and sugar, but also a lot of protein. It's just a no frills and old school production. The smoked sausage. It's genuinely cool how this works. When you integrate the biscuit, when beans, it's the sauce version, the seed for sauce, like the mix it up. Chorizo, sausage. Biscuit works wonders. This one. Because that's almost like a full show. Insane sort of bacon like that. And still got all its flavor. A lot of sausage. It's just like pretty spicy. No, tomato sauce. It's a basil. Marinara sauce. Chicken noodle. It's like a spice around. He's got some herbs. Oh my god.
ご来店ありがとうございます。もう一個大きいです。はい、お待たせしました。はい、どうぞ。はい、おめでとうございます。
And some of the best designs. I set out with our sponsor said, "What do you want?" I said, "Wide selection of t-shirts, hoodies, sweaters, hats, classic Americana style, pro Trump style, comedy style, Christian, sailor, pro life, like Jesus, classic 70s style, quality, earring shirt, joke stuff, classic Import Wars gear. It's all there. I mean, just cool shirts made out of America with a German pointer on it. I mean, just good stuff. All sorts of resistance to viruses, obedience to God, Punisher shirts. I mean, there are some kick-ass stuff there. We have an American supply code. I designed it. That's baby. America, established 1776, supply company. TheAlanShowStore.com.
Leading up frontal assault on the lines of the New World Order. It's Alex Jones.
ブラックのルーを大盛りね。お待たせいたしました。めっちゃ美味しいですよ。
Is joining us here right now. I want to let's get into this great angel they reveal. James O'Keefe, world exclusive bombshell senior DJ and CIA confirms rapes occurred when Bill Clinton was on the plane. This info came out before the wars come about. James O'Keefe will know our
Overheard at Phoenix Airport on September 8th, 2025, a senior Justice Department investigator who personally worked on the Epstein case tells all. Glenn Prager, who has reviewed Epstein itineraries and has interviewed Epstein's victims, drops a bombshell. He says that the DOJ did not want to go after Epstein because he's a CIA asset, that the evidence from his investigation confirms that Bill Clinton was present for alleged rapes on the Lolita Express, and that President Trump was not present for the rapes that Glenn Prager investigated, but that he is protecting a lot of other people that were.
I worked in that case. I used to interview all the victims. And my picture was 20 to 30 victims in Palm Beach that I was interviewing and dealing with. And then we would go ready to go to trial. They would flip. Epstein would just pay them off. And they were just like, I'm thinking kids. And they're all broke kids and poor families. So he pay off like anywhere from $150,000 to $500,000. Nothing. And that kind of stuff.
Prager there describes how the victims that he interviewed were paid off by Epstein right before going to trial. Prager has worked as an investigator inside the Department of Justice for over 20 years. According to Prager's LinkedIn About page, it says that during the tenure at DOJ, Prager served as an inspector overseeing sensitive investigations involving major DOJ components, including the FBI, DEA, Bureau of Prisons, U.S. Marshals Service, ATF, and the U.S. Attorney's offices. This seems to corroborate what Prager told us. He was tasked with interviewing Epstein's rape victims and investigating flight logs. On his backpack at the airport, he spotted an embroidered FBI patch, which caught the attention of our citizen journalists.
I'll tell you this, because nobody knows by the evidence soon come out that he was a CIA.
He was a CIA.
Or he wasn't a CIA.
Although many have suspected it to be the case, this is the first time the Department of Justice official has confirmed that Epstein worked for the CIA and is a foreign asset.
So DOJ is settling the case where we're just letting him, do house arrest and things. They minimize his arrest. Part of that is because the victims kept on flipping. They didn't have anyone to go to trial with. More importantly, part is they didn't want to go after him because he's an asset for the United States and Israel for the CIA. And that's why he was protected so well. People turn a blind eye about all this garbage that he's doing. You get a lot of secrets. More about Israeli stuff than anything else. I mean, he was doing stuff for the United States. He's working for both.
Glenn Prager, the Department of Justice investigator on the Epstein case, then talks about whether President Trump was involved. Many are trying to tie Trump to Epstein, but what Glenn Prager says is that Trump wasn't present during the inappropriate sexual behavior he was investigating. But Prager does say that he
You're engaged in world-changing information here. And now our credibility is higher than ever, but it takes funds to operate. So it's a win-win. I sell you supplements, super nutrient compounds that are the certified best, strongest, highest rated, most loved, totally tested products at thealexjonesstore.com. And we have a massive sale. Alert, alert, alert. I'm saying this live on air Thursday, February 26th. And that means you have until midnight Monday, March 2nd to get our incredible, highest quality, concentrated creatine, private label, the top brand in the country. So good for your whole body, so good for your brain, good for everything. And you get a free bottle of Irish sea moss gummies and our high quality Shilajit. Either or you choose, absolutely free with our creatine. TheAlexJonesStore.com.
Waging war on corruption. It's Alex Jones coming to you live from the front lines of the InfoWar.
has exposed Epstein to the network and who she saw and who she saw raping people and all that stuff. The media tried to say she wasn't even a victim, didn't even know Epstein. That got debunked years ago. Now the DOJ's released emails where indeed she's in there with Epstein. But they didn't release a bunch of emails that she's given to us, you're going to see. And she asked, why are they doing that? So I thought we should hear from her. Also, when I was on with Patrick McDavid 2 weeks ago, I pointed out what I've read the files, what I've seen for 18 years covering this, that some of the women were girls. They got brainwashed Stockholm syndrome. It's on record. They testified they would go out and recruit other girls. And I said, I don't say they're guilty, but they were basically brainwashed as part of it. Some of the women got involved when they were adults and were conspirators. And we've seen some of them going around saying they're victims. I said that. And then leftist talking point heads, many of them, led by Antisperience, said that I was planning 10-year-old girls that got raped. Said no such thing. So I also asked her about that. But overall, Clinton's being deposed, what she makes of that, where she sees us going. I know we talked on the DMs on X. We're both frustrated by some of the Central Trump administration, but overall, this is burning down the establishment. So we'll get her take on this. She's at Juliette Bryant, Juliette Bryant, on Instagram at Juliette Bryant. And maybe you should start with this briefly. Most people know who you are, but for those who don't, just an encapsulation, who you are, how you got involved with Epstein, and then I threw in a lot of stuff there. Go wherever you want. Then we have the emails that you've now released. Now the DOJ came out with selective ones about you. Why didn't they release these incriminating ones? More evidence of a DOJ cover-up. So Juliette Bryant, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Alex. I'm shedding more light on the truth. You're an amazing man, and just thank you for fighting for justice. Because, as we know, these people are lying. And it's been very frightening speaking out on my own. And I'm just so grateful for all the help that you've given to protect myself and other people. Because as we know, there are a lot of lies going on here. And
I want to thank you. I mean, I got $3. 21's 18 and 8. So this concerns me personally.
Yeah, I saw that they put your name in there also, and it's like, why? Like, did you ever meet Epstein? Sorry, I'm not interviewing that, but did you ever meet him?
No.
Yeah, well, there we go. You don't know, so why the hell is your name being thrown?
Well, they didn't point out at least 50 emails him attacking me, because I'm exposing stuff.
Yeah, well, they are putting you because you're fighting for justice, much like me. And thank you for being strong for fighting. Because, the more of us that stand together, the better. Because, like, they weren't supposed to release the victims' emails, yet they chose to release, like, a couple of mine, the ones that were going to try to throw me under the bus. Well, luckily,
they were tracking the perpetrators. They were tracking the perpetrators, saying the sex slaves being delivered, but they leave the victim's name in.
Yeah, exactly. So they retract all the names of the perpetrators and leave the victims' names there, and try to throw anyone under the bus who's actually trying to fight to make, to bring justice. And it's despicable. I've had quite a lot of attack actually. But thank you to people like amazing people like you and many others who've actually been helping to fight for justice, because we've been lied to, guys. We've been very much badly lied to.
And I know the story just briefly. How did you get connected to Epstein? How did you run into it?
Well, what happened is I was studying psychology and philosophy at the University of Cape Town, and my whole aim with my life was actually to do charity and help people. I wanted to do art therapy and help kids. But I started doing one thing on the side, in order to sort of, make money, of course. And then I was scouted years ago, actually, when I was 14 years old, I was actually scouted by Elite Model Management. Sorry, it's going there, but it's all connected.
No, I understand. The modeling networks are feeder groups into this.
Specific to your yard's needs.
It's a great way to capture someone, isn't it? But basically, I met Epstein when he was in Cape Town. He was here with Bill Clinton, Kevin Spacey, and Chris Tucker. They staged a modeling casting, and Bill Clinton witnessed the whole modeling casting. I really thought that all my dreams were going to be coming true. It seemed like such a legitimate opportunity. But of course, as I've said before, I was basically kidnapped to the island. There was never any modeling opportunity. They conned me, and that's why I'm speaking
For those who don't know, the U.S., Eastern Europe, everywhere, that's how they con beautiful young girls, is through the modeling or through the, that's even the Sound of Freedom is based on true story. Your story is documented this, and now we have all your emails back and forth, but they didn't release the key ones, did they?
Yeah, they didn't really, like, they only released the ones to try and make me look bad, where I said I'm sorry he got sent to jail and everything, because the thing is he had a horrible psychological hold over me, and also with the horrible thing that happened initially, it was like he was being taken in for having sex with 14-year-olds, and I didn't see any 14-year-olds there, so, you know, he was a master manipulator, and I just thought it was better to be friendly with him. But like they say, keep your friends close and keep your enemies closer. And another thing I want to say is actions speak louder than words. Because, you know, I think the weird way I was sort of trying to keep in touch so that one day we could expose.
If you're saying, which is normal, you were a little bit of Stockholm Syndrome?
Yes. You know, it was... I was petrified with them. He also told me he worked for the CIA. I know you put up that story, the ad before about this, where people said he maybe worked for the CIA. He told me he worked for the CIA. He told me he worked for the CIA. He said he had my family's info list. And he said that a girl accused of rape, so he planted drugs in her apartment and had her sent to prison. So obviously as a girl from Africa, you know, with my family, like, you know, we don't... You know, I didn't have a lot of money or anything, and it was very frightening being, these criminals are just so bad, basically. And there's so many other guys, like, you know, basically the way that they said that he was a maths teacher at Dalton. Where are the students? Why is no one else, no students spoken out and said, yes, he was my maths teacher? I think we need to hear from one of the students, because was he really a maths teacher?
You're talking about before he was put on the Trilateral Commission at 3 years old. He worked for Bill Barr's father at a girls' school, and Bill Barr's dad was the deputy head of the OSS and then high-level CIA.
There we go, Bill Barr. Is he the one that wrote like the whole weird book? And you know, Bill Barr.
Space aliens raping and murdering children, yeah.
Yeah. What's up with all the Bills, Alex? It's like we've got Bill Clinton, Bill Richardson, Bill Gates, Bill Barr, and Epstein looks like the guy on the dollar bill. You know what I mean? We need to look further into this, and that's what I've been trying to do, is try to expose more. Because coming back from there wasn't okay. You know, it really messed me up badly. And that's also why I kept in contact with him over the years. I was very psychologically traumatized. And, you know, when I got the settlement money, I had time to stick off the hamster wheel at work. And then I started researching more about what they'd done.
At first they said you didn't even know him. So it's what you said years ago is he was manipulating you. Now you know. And this whole thing validates you. Instead, they release only select things. When years ago, when you're saying a few nice things, instead of all the emails you sent me that you posted where you were in his face, and he's telling you, send me nude photos again of you, you said no.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And I didn't send any nude photos to him ever. So people can lie as much as they like. I didn't send him any nude photos. And you know, I've got like a lot of the emails on my account.
You're turning it around on victims. So let's talk about what you went through. You said that they held you hostage. And I want to ask you about Anna Kasparian, because she came out and didn't show what I said on that I was saying 10-year-olds he kidnapped were victims. No, I said some women were brought in as adults who aided and abetted it, and then now Anna Polina Lucas in the documents, she says indeed that's the case. Can you give me your take on the types of girls and women, and some that were willing, some that weren't, the different groups?
Of course. You're very right about that, because they made a lot of people complicit. Even when I was taken there, he offered me $2,000 for any young girl I bring to him. He offered me $4,000 a month so I could stay and work with him. But I didn't want to be there, and I don't want to get involved in
Bitch, you wanted to be there. These fucking broke assholes. Bitch,
I don't think it's legal now. But I don't believe in criminal stuff. You know, they tried to get me into their whole scheme. And, you know, I slowly got away. It wasn't easy. And I'm just very grateful to still be alive.
I'm still alive.
Yeah, it was just very hard edging away, and you're so right on that, because that's why I used to
my butthole, my beanhole, and my butthole. You touch my beanhole. I got pee in my butthole. They put the bunghole. He touched my bunghole.
Well, listen, I love how the DOJ release selective stuff. I've read all these other emails you sent where you're telling him no and all this. But that's normal. That's what I'm saying. When somebody's been held captive, all is done to, threatens your family, of course there's emails. I've read them all, where ones that are public, they release the ones you sent out to me, where you're like, no, I'm not going to send you news, no, but I'm going to be friendly because you threaten your family. That's what happens. Most men roll over. Like the DOJ is in Stockholm Syndrome. And Bonnie, I don't think's involved. None of the cashies on this. But they know if they go after them, they're going to come after them. So this is how they intimidate people.
They're involved, nigga. Don't play stupid fucking out. It's fucking dumb. They fucking want my bunghole. He said if I give him the bunghole, he would put the ping in my bunghole.
Because, you know,
and if I gave him the bunghole,
because there's great strength
he
in
would
numbers.
fucking give me my bunghole, and then once I got the bunghole, he would fucking give me more bunghole.
And the media.
And that's what the fuck happened, man.
So the most
he would take my bunghole.
You feel good, white
said every time I get a bunghole
so much is coming out. I mean, as negative as this is and horrible to learn it, this is everywhere now. You've got the head of the ruling up for him resigning, and all these other resignations, and the king's brother, next in line to the throne, arrested.
They're not the real royal family.
Man, they're the royal family, man. They got the bunghole royal. They got a bunghole royal with cheese.
Yeah, that's a whole other show. I get that, but I'm saying, what do you make of all?
Bitch, shut up.
Do you agree this is a big shakeup for the establishment?
Shut up. Tell that bitch shut the fuck
And I
up.
think that we're really heading to a time of light. The time of light where vampires can no longer exist.
Oh, shut up,
Like you get short cycles of night and day like we have, but there are other cycles of night and day, and these bastards are going to be exposed.
You want bunghole, and he said I'm gonna give this fucking bunghole in my bean beans. And then he gonna give the bean bean and the bunghole, and then everything is gonna be legit.
People who are willing
And
to
now
do
it's not legit because he fucking
thank you, Alex,
fucking touched me,
No,
bro.
I think we're all in this together, but you're right, there's not day cycles, but in culture,
He touched my motherfucking bunghole, man.
Right now, I think is what you were saying.
I told him no,
And the
bro. He
establishment is so
fucking did
scared.
it anyway,
Here he
bro.
is,
He
and
fucking touched
seen
me,
the
bro.
document saying, no, some of these women are co-conspirators. This is what the Young Turks want you to know. Here it is.
What I will say is it has become very evident, even in the last 24 hours, in lines of questioning, that Jeffrey Epstein was running an intelligence gathering operation. In my professional opinion, I do believe it was a honeypot operation. And I do believe that there's a list of individuals who did engage in trafficking or given these plea deals, and I'm going to name those individuals right now. The first one would be Leslie Ross. The second one, Sarah Kellen. The third one, Nadia Markova. And the fourth one, Adriana Ross. All of these women engaged in the trafficking of minors as adults who were working and complicit with Jeffrey Epstein's operation. And in my opinion, they are not to be given victim status because they did partake in harming young girls. I remember seeing in some of the files some of these girls were, as young as 10, 11 years old and older. So obviously we have a lot of work to do, but I did want to come and give an update and let you know that President Clinton, as of right now, is cooperative and answering all of our questions. And that if we choose to believe that if we can remove the partisan nature of those investigations, we actually might be able to get justice. And so I will be calling on the
God damn, them stupid ass things are fucking overpowered, bro.
that I just listed. We will continue to conduct this investigation and provide updates as well.
In case you didn't see it, Juliette Bryant, he's now saying from the policy scene and talking to Clinton, and we don't close it back out, and he has been kind of a mark, he's kind of a bozo actually, that he was the target of Mossad, and that now she's seen documents that indeed Bill Clinton was a target. You were around this, you saw this, what do you think?
Well, I mean, I've been interested with Clinton with this Epstein casting, the casting where I was sent there and everything. But also, it's quite clear, like, if you look into more information, apparently Clinton was involved with drug smuggling through Arkansas. They've got a big body count. Apparently, a lot of people they know have been found dead suspiciously, much like Kevin Spacey, much like Epstein. It's a bit like
Cleansers scary as hell. Particularly, you know, the way we started with Monica Lewinsky Clinton, from what you've seen, do you think there's, I think there is evidence, but what do you think about Epstein mainly being Mossad? We now know Mossad ran his security in New York. That's Mossad now. David Barak had his own offices in there. Who do you think the hunted and the hunter was between Clinton and Epstein?
Such a good question. It seemed more like Epstein was in control more than Epstein. I mean, more than Clinton. I would say, but that's an excellent question because it seems like, there's a lot of control. Like, as you're saying with Mossad, Epstein told me he worked with the CIA. Apparently, Robert Maxwell and Nancy Wexner were both involved in Mossad in the 80s. Epstein worked with Wexner and Ghislaine Maxwell's father is Robert Maxwell, so you just need to connect the dots. Because, there are a lot of pieces to this puzzle and there are a lot of missing pieces, but as we start to put things together, we can see more clearly what's been really going on.
All right, I've been asking my questions. You've been very gracious. But I remember hearing about you years ago, like, oh, she doesn't know him, she's a liar in the news, and I'd already seen your name and documents. That's not true. Now they've released some documents where you were just being nice, so it wouldn't tell your family, which I know that's how they operate. And then he's like a bank robber getting held hostage, and then all these ones are telling him, no, that you released will go over. I want to give you the floor to say what you think about all this.
Well, I think the narrative has been very much controlled. The FBI, they tried to get me over there, they wanted to interview me in person. They arranged me a visa, but when I wasn't able to travel there, they no longer wanted to interview me, which was very suspicious.
Oh, yeah, we need you physically here. We don't want to actually talk to you.
Yes. Yeah, did they want to kill me? Did they want me to sign a contract? Or were they going to try and find me? Well, my soul's not for sale. That's the thing, my soul will never be for sale. And that's why I'm fighting. If this costs me my life, fine. I'm going to do this for the right of the world, and I'll do it for goodness. I'm fighting for people here. So sorry, thanks, Anna.
No, I interrupted it. So much, I want to shut up. Well, let me know the next segment. Stay there. I'm going to shut up because my brain blows up when you say this. When you said that, I didn't know this. They wanted you in person. You said, no, I'll do it on Zoom or whatever. They said, no, that is so suspicious. Repeat what you just said.
I've got all the email evidence. They never interviewed me, the bastards. They wanted to fly me there. But they just, they didn't want to do it on Zoom. So yeah, let's have a break because I need to come with the Sorry, let me go.
What FBI office was it? That's key to know. They were good guys or bad guys.
Well, the woman's name was Angela Jackson. I've got the email traces it and everything. It was arranged through the Boys lawyers. David Boys, those were the lawyers that were representing me, the ones that I was told to get in touch with, because when all of this stuff started coming out, and I didn't, at first didn't even want to speak out because I'd been so traumatized from everything. But,
do you know who those lawyers are? Do you know who that law firm is now?
What about it?
Say the name of the law firm again?
The Boys firm, David Boys, Sigmund McCauley was representing me, David Boys. Apparently he's the man who ate Microsoft. He had Bill Gates on the stand a few years ago. There was so I think they're after Bill Gates, but what we've got to realize is that there are many, it seems like these evil people are fighting each other. Because when I did more research, I realized that David Boys, the lawyer who was representing me, was at Yale at the same time as Clinton. Just a year apart, both studying law. They also photographed David Boys having dinner with Bill Clinton and Harvey Weinstein. So it's been very frightening for myself and other victims when, the people who are supposed to be representing us, I don't know more, but they are speaking to these other people. And like, as we know, the Scarlet Society through Yale, from the research I've done, it seems like they all look out for each other. Like people in positions of power, presidents, judges, people in police services, the media, they all work together and they look after each other. And I think that's the system that we're breaking right now, Alex. This is bullshit.
We're going to break in a few minutes so you can have your cigarette hell spoken on air. Who cares? We're not politically correct here. We love tobacco. The point is that anything you want to say, I want you to say it. Because you've been vindicated People don't know. They used to say years ago you weren't even a victim. They now admit this, so that's got to be at least a good positive for you.
It's been a huge relief with all the information coming out, but it's also, I've never been so sad to be right, because, you know, I knew that I realized they were taking my eggs, and just how deep it goes has been really painful. And that's why the whole charity has actually really helped shake my mind up, because it's been really painful. And I've never been so sad to be right. But
well, darling, you know, Juliet, when you were on a year ago or so the first time, you said, I know this sounds crazy. I said 18 years ago they were doing cloning and taking eggs, because I know these other, it's all the same cult. I knew that. Peter Nygaard's in prison for it. When we come back, let's talk about it. Let's just say it. They give you the laboratory, you wake up, and what do you see? Because this is what other people are saying. And I'm telling you, these are mad scientists. And now they're, you know, the Attorney General believes there are dead bodies buried as race. They have a bunch of witnesses that don't know each other that saw the same stuff. And now they've found emails of Epstein bragging about it that matches the witnesses.
I'm so glad that the truth's coming out, you know. But I mean, Alex, thank you for fighting for justice.
Stop, listen, thank you. Thank me for fighting people who want to destroy us? That's it.
I know how they lied about you. I saw the whole Sandy Hook thing. People told me, you know, you were fighting for justice. And, you know,
they just made up stuff I didn't do, raised $300 million off me, all DOJ, all insane. Yeah, it's okay.
Well, when you fight for justice, those demons will come to us, right? But people like you keep me safe, and I'll always keep you safe too, I promise. And I'm sending so many angels to protect you and your team.
I'm sending angels.
So thank you so much for,
I'm sending the angels to protect you.
It's been horrible.
Well, thank you. I know
the Illuminati will no longer attack you
let's come back and talk
with the Alpha Draconian Reptilian Hybrid system
this is the real world.
from the Alpha Quadrant Reticulum
a decade ago,
from Asia Minor, Asia Minor. There's so many of these motherfuckers that are just here to fucking fuck you in the ass, Alex. And I'm so thankful for you.
Alert, alert, alert. We're engaged in world-changing information here. The worldwide satanic pedophile networks, the poison shots, depopulation, the classified CIA documents about poisoning, the food and water and medicines to make us dumb and more docile and controllable, and to make us sick and die. Operation Artichoke fully declassified this week. Total vindication of this broadcast. And now our credibility is higher than ever, but it takes funds to operate.
It takes funds.
So it's a win-win. I sell you supplements, super nutrient compounds that are the certified best, strongest, highest rated, most loved, totally tested products at theologystore.com. And we have a massive sale, and that means you have until midnight Monday, March 2nd, to get our incredible, highest quality, concentrated creatine, private label, the top brand in the country, so good for your whole body, so good for your brain, good for everything, and you get a free bottle of Irish sea moss gummies. Each gummy is equivalent of like 40 grams or something of Irish sea moss, is so good for you, a bunch of other super nutrients, and our high-quality Shilajit in either or, you choose, absolutely free. That's a $35 value, absolutely free with our creatine. There's also store-wide 25% off all apparel. That ends midnight Wednesday, March 4th. But let me just overhead shot and show TV viewers a couple of things right here. KU Medical Center. Creatine shows potential to boost cognition in Alzheimer's patients. This time in creatine, Alzheimer's. Creatine and cognition and aging, a systematic review of evidence in older adults, a major study. HHS public access. Effects of creatine supplementation on cognitive function of healthy individuals, systematic review of randomized controlled trials. And it's not just good for your brain, it's good for your heart, your muscles, everything. Everybody always thinks of it for muscles, but it's every organ, folks, and you gotta get the right kind of creatine. We have the best. There's BBC telling the truth. The bodybuilding supplement that boosts brain power. I mean, my God, I was taking creatine in high school. I could bench press 350 pounds, weighed 180 pounds. Squatting 600. My strength just exploded once I got on creatine. But what's it do for your brain? Want bigger gains in your brain? 6 facts about creatine and brain health. Get your creatine already discounted. Get a free bottle of Irish sea moss and or Shilajit until Monday, March 2nd at midnight. And it funds the operation. Take action now at theologystore.com. 25% off all apparel, t-shirts, hats, and hoodies. Ends midnight, Wednesday, March 4th. Take advantage of that. We have the widest selection of Patriot apparel and some of the best designs. I set out with our sponsor said, what do you want? I said, the widest selection of t-shirts, hoodies, sweaters, hats, you name it. I want classic Americana stuff. I want pro-Trump stuff. I want InfoWars stuff. I want comedy stuff. I want just Americana stuff. Christian, Crusader, pro-life, pro-Jesus, classic 1776 stuff, quality Leering Center, joke stuff, classic InfoWars gear. I mean, just cool shirts saying, I love America with a German pointer on it. I mean, just good stuff. All sorts of resistance to tyrants is obedience to God Punisher shirts. I mean, there are some kick-ass stuff there. Look at that one, American Supply Code. I designed that bad baby. I get constant great guys over there and gals. All up in Arkansas for Big League Space. America established 1776 Supply Company. Woo! I like it. It's got a cool deal on the right-hand shoulder. And there's just, it's over 700 shirts now. That's the only problem. Is that you find a shirt, you get it, you like it, you want to buy another one. It takes me like, if you don't remember the name of the shirt, it takes you like an hour to find it. But that's a good
so goddamn overpowered, bro. And there's nothing that Zerg
Leading
has
a frontal assault on the lies of the New World Order, it's Alex Jones. Waging war on corruption. It's Alex Jones coming to you live from the front lines of the InfoWar.
Here, Julia Bryant, a real, confirmed in documents victim that was not part of the operation. We had a great interview the last 30 minutes, but I was bringing a lot of stuff, bringing a lot of questions. I want to give you a floor right now.
Are overpowered.
Wherever you want, stream of consciousness, where this is going, what you think the effect is going to be, all the documents about global government,
carriers are overpowered as shit. We don't have any fucking air units that can compete with that shit. Overpowered ass fucking units. Holding Zerg back. Zerg is like the weakest fucking thing in the game.
You know that Victoria Harvey woman who's been like bashing the victims? She actually just sent me an email just like an hour before it started. I'm gonna look at it, you know. But I'll share it with you. This is like an email.
She's the former.
She's Lady Victoria Hervey.
The former girlfriend of Prince Andrew.
Yeah, her. So she emailed me and she sort of, I don't know, I'll share it with you. But there's obviously been a lot of weird stuff going on here, and there've been a lot of lies, like as we saw with the DOJ releasing the files. They weren't supposed to release victim files, but they released my emails. But I'm actually glad they did, because also then I was told to email the boys' lawyers and tell the DOJ to take the emails off, but they released mine, so I did do that because I was told to do that. But luckily the Gmail server saved them all. And also I've got them all on my phone too. So basically with the DOJ release, there've been a lot of lies. Other frightening things that have happened to Alex is I've had other...
Prince Andrew disgraced Jeff Rock from the family and arrested. What did his girlfriend send you?
He just said that basically she thinks that me and the other girls are mind controlled, and she's like trying to be friendly basically, which I was quite surprised about. You know, I've actually met that woman before. She doesn't remember meeting me. She's done. But I didn't meet her through Epstein. I met her, I had a boyfriend in New York after this. You know, and I not related to Epstein, I hope. But, you know, I've got a lot of friends and I've been invited to places. I mean, it's Saeed Gaddafi, you know, that man who was recently assassinated. He also said...
Well, she's been doing an apology to her, Prince Andrew, for attacking him.
Well, I think they all need to answer,
boy,
right?
you
They need to
got
answer
fucked.
what's going on.
Get
And I
fucked,
think that more and more light's being shed on this. And I think the more that people like you and other amazing people speak out, the better. You know that there's great strength in numbers because there's obviously been a lot of lies going on. And you know, I'm just very grateful to be alive, to be honest, and just thank you for keeping me and others safe. Because you know the mainstream media hasn't wanted to interview people about this. But finally, recently, people I've had a lot of mainstream media trying to interview me, like Sky News and BBC News and CBS. Is that right? And you know, and Al Jazeera. So I just think the more light we shed on this fish, and like I said, I've got the evidence proving what I'm saying. You know, and I never worked with them at all. I didn't want to be involved in all of that. I was just very, very frightened of them. And I'm just really, really grateful that things are coming to light because it makes me feel safer because I've been frightened for a long time. Like I've only been took my little boy to the beach.
They're gonna fuck me in the ass.
Go to the beach. That, you know, we've had too many weird incidents happen with my tires being slashed, being followed.
They followed me.
But I live in a security estate and I've got Doberman dogs and I'm, you know, and I've got people like you and others help.
They gonna slash my tires and kill me.
All together, please stop
But I do live in a gated motherfucking community.
What do you make? I'm sure you've seen it. The emails
I'm
about
balls up. I'm
sex slaves going to the Hyatt, one piece of pizza for 7 people, walking the beef jerky up, sitting at the labs, buying babies. I mean, the DOJ says there's no evidence of crime. This isn't even coded now. The media tries to focus on grape soda and cheesecake. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I know they took my eggs.
Yeah, let's turn on my eggs. So tell people about Zorro Ranch. Take your time here. We got time.
They took my vagina hole and my egg holes.
Take your time. Tell us what happened.
They took all my bagels. They took all the bagels and they put them in the oil and in the bagels. In the blading, in the blading. I'm blading. They took my fucking eggs, bro. They raped me and they took my egg holes.
And on that night I went outside. Epstein said we were all going to watch this movie.
Epstein took my egg holes, man. Don't you fucking understand what I'm trying to tell you, bro?
You know, and it was Michael Bay.
He fucked me in my Michael Bay. Him and Michael Bay made a movie with my egg holes, man. And
I got locked out of the house.
They locked me out of the house, bro. And I was lost.
And then, you know, I've got this weird memory waking up in a lab with 6 people in hazmat suits around me.
I woke up in a damn X-File. I was in a motherfucking X-Files, nigga.
It was very, very scary.
That was very scary. It was very, very scary. And they fucked me in my egg hole.
Female doctor came near my head.
Every time I turned around, there was a nigga fucking me in my egg hole.
But, you know, I've been trying to think about this for a long time.
And they put my egg rolls inside of my egg
so grateful that more light is coming out.
You know what happened
Did you verbally say you heard her in your
They took it.
The female daughter says
They
everything.
took it, Alex.
Elaborate on that.
Yeah,
Don't you understand me?
And then she came near me and then I
They
was out.
took my fucking
And you know, also
butthole,
recently
they
they
took my beanhole and my bunghole.
Sort of like
And once they were done with my bunghole, they put my bunghole and my beanhole.
I've already seen all that.
And then all of a sudden everything got
You said this
dark.
years ago to paralyze you. Now there's a bunch of
And then
emails about
everything got
scopolamine
dark.
that's used to paralyze people. Did you know that?
They paralyzed me.
Well, please share it with me because
Please share it with me so I can add that to my story next time. And then next time when I come on TV, I'm gonna say them niggas paralyzed me. Then another paralyzer. Them niggas hit me with the paralyzer.
Such a mess, but I slipped up and I tried to.
Sometimes when I wake up at night, I see them. I see Epstein and Harry Potter. I see Harry Potter and Epstein all inside of my bunghole.
1, 2, 3. And then the lights started
They're all in my bunghole with my ping ping, and then they taking advantage of my name long. And after they take my name long, I'm in there all alone.
I would say like a UFO or something.
It was a UFO that was fucking having sex with me.
In shapeshift into like a demon, like alien.
Oh my god, it was a demon. There were demons. There was dark demons in there that were fucking me. They were fucking me in my asshole.
What happened is like when he orgasmed, I looked away and I looked at him, and then I looked away and I looked at him, and he said, "Do you like it?" And I said, "Yes." And big black eyes.
It was a big black cock. It was some BDCs involved.
Looked and then I looked away and then I looked back and it was him again.
And
So
it was him again, and he was in there hitting me from the back.
It was just like something very, very weird that happened.
It was very weird.
I'd like to be lied. Maybe you can help me get lie detector.
Maybe you can help me get the lie detector.
No one else have to tell me.
You don't have to tell me. I'm Alex Jones.
So,
I believe that you got raped in your butt.
Kind of like this, big eyes, right? Big mouth.
Yeah, big
mouth, big black eyes. He was kind of he was 6 foot. Was he 6 foot with big black eyes and he put his cock in your mouth? That was a porno.
You know, and then he had like these big black eyes.
And he had those big black, nigger eyes and big black. He had big black nigger eyes and they were everywhere.
I know what I saw.
And they were motherfucking everywhere.
And you know, it's very hard for me to explain.
It's hard for me to explain because it really, this shit really didn't happen.
Sure, so this shit really didn't happen. So what happened? You were what, right after?
I don't know what happened after because I wasn't there.
And, you know, what used to happen is he'd take me into the room and then he'd be like, okay, go now.
Whoa, he took me into the room. He would take me into the room and all of a sudden everything would get dark.
I never saw him swim or go in the sea or swim in his pools. You know, he had all these like beautiful swimming pools and the island.
And I was a broke bitch. And I never seen a swimming pool before.
But he
because I was from Africa. I'm from fucking goddamn Botswana. I'm from Botswana land, Africa, nigga. I don't know shit.
How long or how many times were you on the island?
How many times were you there?
I think 2 times. It might have been 3, but that's a good question. Because I've got everything like written down here. They should reach the island.
You can't make this shit up, bro.
New Mexico, Palm Beach, New York, Paris. So,
you already talked about drugging, and now it's confirmed. He sent you all these emails. Were you drugged, do you think, everywhere you went?
Yes.
I don't know, because I think I would have felt if I'd been drugged. You know what I mean?
I would have felt
I mean, unless they've got drugs that are like so weird that you don't really know you've been drugged. You know, I've had my drinks spiked after that. Like, you know, I was taken to LA. I've had, you know, but the thing is, I'm not sure like what they're capable of. But the thing is, I do know that very weird things happen, and I do know that they took my eggs, and I do know that they all could have died.
I do know they took my eggs and they took my organs.
So you say they took your eggs? Was that during the medical experiment?
Yes.
Yes. Well, you know, everything gets down the cross and come from there. You know, there's a lot of weird stuff that went on. I used to have a lot of nightmares after I got back.
I had hella nightmares, bro.
I used to see like
sometimes they would take my butt and I wouldn't even know they were taking my butt.
Those bastards to me, and that's why I'm not stop until they
those fucking those bastards.
Do you think maybe Epstein was just like an alien base or something? Who knows now?
Oh my God.
Alex, what I mean, just wonder if maybe Epstein was a clone. Like, if they can clone people, they could have created, like, his penis was like this big, and he just put my finger here to show you.
Yeah, they said, the way they know women told the truth before is it's deformed like an egg, right?
Let me just find my camera. It was like this big. It was very, very small. So, I mean, he just obviously tried sexually abuse me, and he did sexually abuse me, of course. He also used to try to teach me how to give a blowjob, and he said I'm going to look at like a lollipop. Sorry.
Don't feel bad, it's alright. We're all adults here, don't feel ashamed. But no, that's what the women say, is he had a deformed penis like a small egg. Is that accurate?
Yeah, he was very compulsive, and what he was mainly trying to do was trying to force orgasms from me. So someone even said maybe he was doing sex magic, because he had like, I've never even had orgasms before. I was taken with, I was young, I only ever had 2 boyfriends before that. And anyway, so yeah, he was like trying to force orgasms, and it was very weird, and that's also what led me to believe that, the egg thing. And also, before I was sent home from New Mexico, he gave me like a pelvic exam, and felt my inside, my stomach in a very weird way. And yeah, obviously when I came back from there, I was shattered, and I just realized that I was just going to be pregnant to them because I was petrified. But then when everything started coming out and I was awarded the settlement money, it gave me time to step back to Wheel of Life and to do more research and find out what they've really been doing. And the more I looked into it, the darker it got. And then I realized I had to start sharing everything with others.
Well, you've done a great job doing it. Have you seen how the head of the WF had to resign for setting up a secret world government with Epstein? He was on the Trial Commission board.
There is an order. Sorry, Alex. I don't understand that, but I'm in water. I don't believe that. My name is Woman Water, and that doesn't look like a copy. I think that's a fake photo that you.
Looks like a guy. My point is that.
Yeah, I don't believe that.
My point is that he was way more.
Sorry.
I'm saying he was way more powerful than I even thought. Like he was there.
Well, water is magical. Like Jesus turned water into wine, Moses parted the sea. Water is magical. Control the water, control the people.
Well, the thing is, witches can't get in the water, yeah. But the point is that.
Are we fucking serious right now?
What I'm saying is, you know it's come out that who's really the head of the Trial Commission?
Yes.
It turns out he was basically the head of the Trial Commission. He was David Rockefeller's stand-in in the documents.
Well, of course. And that's another thing. It's weird because even a guy I know who married a Rockefeller wanted to do a documentary with BBC. But, I've learned to just stay away from people who are involved in these circles. Because yes.
So how powerful was Epstein from what you know? Because I thought he was like a super gopher. Now we're learning, as Rockefeller got old and stuff, he kind of took charge of the U.S. arm of the Rothschilds. He sent out Rothschild, the representative. They now admit he was like the representative. So how did this guy get chosen to do this at age 30 by Bill Barr?
Yeah, exactly. And you born in Coney Island, how is he actually involved? It's very peculiar, it doesn't make sense. Like that amazing man, Eric Weinstein, made an interview saying that Epstein was a construct. And I think that's something very important to look into, a construct. What does a construct mean?
It's basically a public image, but he said, or he himself be a construct, meaning he's like, what it means is not real. Not authentic.
Yeah, we've all been lied to, like they turned down the sheep in 1996. 1 year later, Bill Clinton, who I met Epstein with, banned federal funds being used for human cloning. That doesn't mean that human cloning was banned. It means that federal funds weren't being allowed to use for it, so people could do it privately. There were also amazing people on 60 Minutes or BBC, I can't remember, who did interviews about human cloning. There was that man Rael, that dodgy man.
France, yes, in South Korea. So you're saying, are you implying you think Epstein was like a clone?
Well, I don't know, but I would rule it out.
Well, he was obsessed with cloning. I first wrote it like 18 years ago. And all sorts of buying babies and buying babies before their term, like 9 yards draining their blood. Did you ever hear anything about that?
How dark it goes. I didn't see anything like that. Like I said, if I did, I would have literally gone and killed myself. I would have risked my life, to protect children, because that's what I believe in is goodness. A lot of it was hidden from me. I was very much taken there and used. But, sometimes I wonder if Epstein almost planted things in a way so that this could all be exposed. Like, I've got photographs from there because there were disposable cameras left in the kitchen. And, you know, I didn't have a camera, I couldn't afford a camera, but because I took these disposable cameras and took some photos just so I could show my mum where I'd been and everything, I've got photos and I've got evidence. And, you know, I wish I knew more, but I think that's, you know, what we're all coming together to do is we all speak together and we put the pieces of the puzzle together. I mean, I do know that these people are incredibly evil. I know that they've lied, much like the DOJ with the emails. They've lied about everything. And I just think that, you know, we have great strength in numbers, and these people in positions of power need to be. We need good people in power, because it's too much having people hurt like this.
No, I totally agree, but here's the deal. Everybody's listening to this, and Trump says we control time and space. You see all the stuff going in the sky. You see all the super science. You see thousands of emails about sex slaves and babies whereby, I mean, everybody focuses on grape soda and pizza. It's obvious codes, but most of this isn't even codes. So when you get down to this is all coming out. It is totally wild. It's like a coming of age for everybody, and vindication for you because you're all over the emails now they've released. At least you say you weren't even involved. Is it far-fetched?
What about the credit? Sorry, you know, Bill Gates bought the credit for like $34 million in the 90s. That was Da Vinci work. Leonardo Da Vinci.
Yeah, no, he bought that, yeah.
Yeah, so the answer to the
code.
No, I'm all into code. And I believe back into evil and back into the devil.
Sure, so what did you think of the blackboard that they now deciphered as a black magic code to enslave and kill humanity? Like, it's been decoded. AI decoded it. 3 different AIs decoded it. It is the code to enslave and destroy humanity as payment to aliens to give the priests that do it entree to go to the next level.
You mean the board behind him when he wrote his name incorrectly? Well, it's quite clear that it's a big lie, you know, but as far as like aliens, demons, angels, whatever, you know, I believe in goodness, and I do believe that there are good energies out there that have a help us. I know that there are, because I believe in angels and good energy. And unfortunately, things in the world have been very much controlled by a demon energy for a long time, it seems. And I just think it's more about that wake up and start spreading more information to wake people up, you know.
No, that's where I was going exactly. As negative as discovering this is, no one can deny we're in the age of discovery and revelation now. Clearly the tide's turning. Do you agree with that?
Yes. I mean, there's always dark. It's always darkest before the dawn. It's one of my favorite songs. I've danced in the machine. You know, shake the devil, shake it off, something. And I just really do believe that times are good are coming. Like we were saying earlier, you get night and day and short cycles. You also get night and day and long cycles. Much like they burnt all the witches in 1430s and bonfires of vanities. They burnt a lot of books. They burnt a lot of our history. 1600s, you had the Medici family running things, you know, Donatello and Raphael and Michelangelo, all the literature from there, you know,
what the hell?
You know, all the artists were working for these guys. And basically, we've been lied to about a lot of history, is what I would say.
Well, I agree. Here are some of the emails, both released by the DOJ and released by you. Some are shot in the record. You can find that on your X account. Very, very important. This is all good to get out there for everybody. But yeah, definitely the establishment is not happy. Definitely the establishment is not in a good place right now. And we have the initiative. You know, we have the initiative right now, and they don't.
You're completely right. This is our chance to catch them. This is our chance to make things fair for people. Because, you know, people like you and I, we don't like seeing people suffering. Also, why are people starving when there's an abundance of air, earth, water, and sea? You know, as people have been controlled, and also like the vaccines that Bill Gates was putting out, you know, apparently Epstein and Bill Gates were orchestrating COVID. And actually, let me tell you a bit more about that, because, you know, when I was taken there, it was just after 9/11. And I was like quite nervous, obviously, about where the way the world was going. And Epstein used to have the news channel on. So one day I said to him, what's going to be coming in the world? You know, is something bad coming? And Epstein told me this in 2002. He said to me, something bad will come in 2020. Like, he said in about 20 years, something bad is coming. And the best thing you can do is keep physically strong. So I thought, okay, it must be a tidal wave or something, and I've got to be strong. I just like to swim away. I didn't realize that he was talking about the virus. But basically, he very much told me about the virus that they were going to be putting out of people. And also, the virus is very much the mind, in a way. You know, it's like the cell disease that Nostradamus predicted long ago. You know, a lot of us are on cell phones, and you know, the thing is to just realize that we've been lied to and just look after your families and do the right thing. Be good people, because things are about to change a lot, and goodness is coming.
I totally agree. We're out of time. The war room's coming to Smith. Remember, the only way we're on the air is your support. AlexTheStore.com. Juliet Bryant on X, Instagram, Juliet Bryant. God bless you. Let's talk again very soon. Thank you.
Thanks, Alex. Similar to everyone. He's so cool. Love you guys.
Harris is awesome. Thank you. Whole crew's great. All right, great job, the crew. Huge for our broadcast. Wow. Over the top powerful. Now it's up to all of you to share those links. Balls to your court, folks. God bless you. Engaged in world-changing information. And now our credibility is higher than ever, but it takes funds to operate. So it's a win-win. I show you supplements, super nutrient compounds that are the certified best, strongest, highest rated, most loved, totally tested products at thealexstore.com. And we have a massive sale. Alert, alert, alert. I'm saying this live on air Thursday, February 26th. And that means you have until midnight Monday, March 2nd, to get our incredible, highest quality, concentrated creatine, private label, the top brand in the country, so good for your whole body, so good for your brain, good for everything. And you get a free bottle of Irish sea moss gummies and our high-quality Shilajit. Either or, you choose, absolutely free with our creatine. TheAlexJonesStore.com. We have the widest selection of Patriot apparel and some of the best designs. I set out with our sponsor, Sip What You Want. That's the widest selection of t-shirts, hoodies, sweaters, hats, you name it. All the classic Americana stuff, all the pro-Trump stuff, all the InfoWars stuff, all the comedy stuff, Christian, Crusader, pro-life, pro-Jesus, classic 1776 stuff, quality Leering Center, joke stuff, classic InfoWars gear. It's all there. I mean, just cool shirts saying I love America with a German pointer on it. I mean, just good stuff. All sorts of resistance to tyrants and obedience to God Punisher shirts. I mean, there are some kick-ass stuff there. Look at that one, American Supply Co. I designed that bad baby. America, established 1776, Supply Company. Woo! I like it. TheAlexJonesStore.com.
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.
DBs will be on the field. They're down there right now. Tight ends take over in prime time tonight.
It's Friday, February 27th, 2026.
InfoWars. Tomorrow's news today.
I'll tell you what he's focused on.
Well, 2 weeks ago, Trump told embassy staff to evacuate different Middle Eastern countries. This time they're telling all Americans to get out of Israel and other surrounding areas. I don't think this is a negotiating tactic at this point. I mean, Iran might come run to the table. I don't think they are. I think there's a very good chance the bombardment will start Saturday night here, Sunday morning in the dark over there. If I had to be a predicting man, which I am,
My fucking little watch.
I'd give it about a 90% probability that the United States with a giant arrayed strike force, with the biggest ever assembled, upwards of 60% were deployable aircraft and missiles, 2 aircraft carriers, you name it. The Iranians have got a bunch of Chinese
anymore because they're so
missiles that are hypersonic. One of the aircraft carriers is over. They're the Iranian C-5. Iran is in the sights. The Gerald R. Ford is larger carrier. It just arrived today off the coast of Israel's Mediterranean. That's for missile defense. So
what I meant by that is it really?
If you look at the footage we've got of the Tel Aviv airport,
I mean, if it's too loud, if it's more than 50,
they're
west,
just full
is there a book?
of
I don't
military
know if it's passive. I guess we'll try to yeah. So this will be minus 1. Is it like, first of all, is there passive? Okay. Holy shit, that's amazing. That's what I mean. Maybe it's admin. Okay, maybe it's 3.
As you know,
you get a minus 1.
mullahs, whatever their threats.
No, well, I'm gonna have to switch on. I'm not gonna make it to the internet anymore. Flew minor default.
Just last year, 9 months ago, it was, we got their nuclear facilities, it's a one and done. And I said, you watch,
so this is the interface of the minor.
this is just an intelligence gathering operation for the bigger strike 6 months per year. I mean, we just call it, folks. I studied the military, I have rebel sources.
78,
so
it's
they
probably
don't know
around
exactly when it's coming,
yeah,
but
it's really loud
my
for
sources are
something to happen.
my sources,
Gradually,
the White House, and Benny Johnson, who's got them out the ass. And I was just on his show, he's on his 6 hour. He said, I mean, they've been told, yeah, we're going in. Now, Trump tells them that he's had like 7 or 8 times in the month before we did go into Venezuela. And a lot of that is so the other side just gets lackadaisical. When the real attack comes, they don't know. You also get intel, having the aircraft in the air, having the troops in the air, and the enemy sees that. And I've talked to some of the troops, some of the people involved, when they give me classified information, they say, no, we were told we were going in each time. And then Trump, last minute, calls them back. And it's not Trump being skittish, that's a really good military tactic. But it's important or not, that's what you want to do. Before we invaded Panama, they had more than 20 times that they launched the attack and pulled back. They would even fly in special forces helicopters and things at low level and throw out flashbangs and things over and over again to just get the Panamanians where first they're all on edge, they're all balls their feet, finally the real thing is you don't know. But I'm looking at this, smelling it, and watching the negotiations, I don't think this is a fake. Unless the Iranians come to the table in the next 24 hours, I'd say at about, that'll be probably about like 6 o'clock here p.m. That'll be like 2 a.m. over there. I think that's when the attack will start. Saturday night here, Sunday morning over there. Or they might hit them. They might hit them Monday morning too, in the dark. But I really think the decision was made unless Iran comes to the table. And so that's where we are. We'll look at the aftermath of what different scenarios. The roads are bad to worse out of this. So Israel is really manipulating America. That's not a good thing. World-changing information. And now credibility's higher than ever, but it takes funds to operate. So it's a win-win. I show you supplements, super nutrient compounds that are the certified best, strongest, highest rated, most loved, thoroughly tested products at thealexjonesstore.com. And we have a massive sale. Alert, alert, alert. I mean, it says live on air Thursday, February 26th. And that means you have until midnight Monday, March 2nd.
Welcome to the Computer Chronicles. I'm Stuart Chaffee, sitting in for Gary Kildall this week. It's Herb Lechner of SRI. Herb, we think of chess as the ultimate game of skill, a game that requires mental agility, intelligence, if you will. Yet here I am playing a game of chess with a computer, which is analyzing board positions and applying a certain kind of intelligence to figure out what its next move should be. That's the subject of our program today, artificial intelligence. And in some people's minds, AI suggests attempting to duplicate the way a human brain works. Is that what AI is, in fact?
Not in most modern AI research, Stuart. Early research in AI looked at duplicating human thought processes, but current AI research is more concerned with duplicating the end result of intelligence. And computers that act as experts in expert systems, and computers that can communicate with us in our language, understanding some of the context of that language, are two areas that are receiving a lot of attention in artificial intelligence research today.
Okay, we're going to meet two of the world's foremost experts on artificial intelligence, and we'll take a look at two fascinating examples of expert systems. One of the leading experts on expert systems is Dr. Edward Feigenbaum of Stanford University. We asked Professor Feigenbaum about the evolution of artificial intelligence.
Computers, as you know, are general symbol processing devices capable of manipulating any kinds of symbols, of which numbers constitute one important class, but computers are much more general than that. We've known about the generality of computation since at least the time of Turing in the 1930s, and actually I've tracked it back to intuitions that Babbage had that were reported by Ada Lovelace, after whom the Ada programming language is named. In 1842, Ada Lovelace wrote that the analytical engine of Babbage's constituted the link between the mechanical world and the world of the most abstract concepts. That currently, in modern terminology, is called the physical symbol system hypothesis and is the basis for artificial intelligence work. In artificial intelligence as a science, we talk about the use of computers to process symbolic knowledge using logical inference methods, symbolic inference methods. In other words, we're talking about inference and not calculation in the traditional sense. We're talking about knowledge and not numbers in the traditional sense.
A current application of inferential knowledge engineering is in the field of expert systems. Programs like this oil exploration advisor. Developed to assist drilling rigs in remote areas, the program behaves much like a qualified specialist. It asks questions of its user and then gives advice on how to avoid or correct accidents so common in drilling operations. If at some point in the line of questioning the user becomes confused by the query, he can ask the program to explain itself, simply by entering why. The advisor responds with a specific source behind the question and explains its reasoning up to that point. The symbolic processing behind the human-like talents of this program found applications in a broad range of fields, from medicine to robotics. Perhaps the most difficult area for AI to master has been natural language, a talent that results in very friendly computers, but that requires enormous processing capacity. The ambiguities of syntax and context have restricted present systems to very limited applications. A simple geographic question, depending on the phrasing, can lead to multiple interpretations. The program will determine the question's most likely meaning only after an exhaustive reconstruction of the sentence, and might even reject an unusual phrasing of the same query. In a parallel development, investing AI programs with linguistic ability has led to an interactive study of graphic communication. In this experiment, the visual dynamics of communication form the foundation for a linguistic expert advisor capable not only of discerning visual patterns, but also acting as a kind of tutor. One interactive application has given persons without normal speech the ability to adapt and construct alternative symbolic languages. A remarkable instance of using a computer program's intelligence to help interpret human intelligence.
Joining us now is Jeffrey Perrone. Jeffrey's a management consultant involved in expert systems for micros, and Niels Nielsen, director of the Artificial Intelligence Center at SRI International.
Niels, could you kind of help us scope the field of artificial intelligence as it exists today?
Well, I'll try, Herb. It's a broad field. If you ask many of different people what constitutes artificial intelligence, I think you get a lot of different answers. For me, I think it concerns mainly the putting of knowledge into computer programs. so that the programs then can solve certain problems which humans find somewhat easy or perhaps intellectual challenges sometimes. And the knowledge that one puts in is knowledge that's represented in a particular sort of way.
So the idea is that it's just not smarter programs that do artificial intelligence programming. It is some difference in techniques that they use relative to what ordinary programs.
Well, there's a part of computer science that artificial intelligence is concerned with that does in fact involve a certain body of techniques that are a little different perhaps than what goes on in the rest of computer science.
Jeffrey, Niels is involved in the research end of AI, and you're involved in some of the applications. Are we at the point today where we can apply AI?
Absolutely, Stuart. Well, I feel that artificial intelligence, and specifically expert systems or knowledge-based systems, now are applicable any place that specialized knowledge is used routinely to reach decisions, troubleshooting strategies, diagnoses, those areas. So I kind of think of it as something where we've reached a watershed where it's no longer very expensive or very difficult for individuals with no technical background to build systems and apply them usefully.
And you distribute a system which is an expert system and also helps one build expert systems, is that correct?
Right. Well, actually, it's a tool for generating particular expert systems applications in virtually any area where there is that routine use of special knowledge.
And it runs on a microcomputer.
Right, it runs on the IBM personal computer and a number of other compatible microcomputers.
Do you use the same techniques in this system that Niels was referring to are used in systems that might run on larger equipment?
It uses some of the same ideas, and it has its own unique approach as well. One of the specific areas where this is a different sort of program is that instead of requiring explicit statement of rules to build a system, it only requires examples of previous decisions, previous tasks, previous diagnoses to build the systems. And that's going to break through, I believe, the knowledge engineering bottleneck mentioned by people like Edward Feigenbaum in building these systems.
Jeffrey, you have Expert Ease, your system up here, and show us the demonstration.
Sure. Okay. Well, this is a particular application generated with this system, and it was generated by an anesthesiologist, Hilary Don, and myself. And what it does is it makes diagnoses for breathing or airway problems. The first question here that it asks the naive user is, when was the onset of the problem? And I'll answer days. Then we'll ask, what's the quality of the stridor, which is a rasping sound, maybe when it's breathing, kind of sort of sound. And let's say that the quality is moderate.
Who would use this system? A doctor? Or
this might be used by a physician's assistant to screen patients for perhaps further fine-tuning by someone with more expertise. Is the patient drowsy? Let's say no. Are there any predisposing factors to developing stridor, prior events that might lead to this condition? Let's say yes. And it comes up with, consider the diagnosis of intrathoracic tracheal stenosis. Now, I'm not a physician, so I don't know exactly what that means, but that gives you an idea of how it might lead to a particular diagnosis. Now, what I'd like to do is I'd like to show you a trivial example called Sunday, which actually comes with the manual for the program as a tutorial, essentially. A Sunday is a model of deciding what to do on a Sunday afternoon. How are you going to spend your time? And it consists of a couple of questions, multiple choice questions like you've just seen, and those would be answered. So now what I'm going to do is run a query system. It asks, do you have your family with you? Let's say yes. What is the weather like? Is it raining or sunny? Let's say sunny. So it says, why don't you take the family to the beach? Now, the way that you would build one of these models is by starting on something called the attribute screen. The attribute screen is where you sketch out the dimensions of the particular problem or situation. Here, the attributes are weather and family, and there's the advice column, which would be the result of a particular decision.
What size matrix can you do on that?
Okay, you can actually do, in any particular problem, 31 attributes and up to 255 values per attribute. And those can then be chained together, so you can do very large models, just limited by the size of your disk storage, essentially. The values, such as raining and sunny, could be thought of as answers to the question represented by the attribute. Once you've done a preliminary sketch of this sort, you then go to something called the example screen. And on the example screen, you enter in examples of previous decisions. Now, this was developed by Dr. Donald Mickey in Edinburgh, based on the idea that information is communicated by experts or masters to their apprentices in the form of examples or cases. So here you see, horizontally running across the screen, answers to those questions. Raining, yes, we're with the family. The advice would be go to the museum. And the next case would be if it's sunny and I was with the family, then I would go to the beach. And the third case there consists of that I don't care what the weather is like. If there's no family with me, then I'm going to go fishing.
Jeffrey, you described this obviously as a trivial example, the Sunday one, but in general, do you have the capacity within a PC to seriously approach this kind of problem solving?
Yes, you can do quite significant things. As a matter of fact, I've recently been speaking with the Whole Earth software review people about doing some systems to recommend software, such as word processing programs or communications hardware programs, that sort of thing.
Niels, I want to ask you what I hope doesn't sound like a dumb question, but kind of what's the point? Why do we develop something like this kind of system? Is it to replace the doctor, say, in the diagnosis situation? What is the end result of it?
Well, I think there'd be a lot of uses of systems like this. I think the present ones actually do have a lot of brittle features that perhaps might limit their utility at the present time. But in the long run, that is 10 years, 20 years, something like that, these kinds of systems I think will be quite generally useful in a wide range of settings. First of all, the knowledge that these systems contain, at least we hope, put in the knowledge of world-class experts, people who know so much about the field that there might only be 5 or 6 of them in the whole world who know that much. Now, there can be some pretty good practicing people who nevertheless aren't quite as good as the world experts in a particular subject. So it helps us spread the knowledge of an expert around a good deal in a way which can be copied quite easily.
Okay, in just a moment, we're going to meet the man who invented the term artificial intelligence, and we'll see a demonstration of knowledge engineering. That's coming up next.
Very much pieces. It's a failed state.
Joining us now is Tom Kaler. Tom is Director of Applied Artificial Intelligence at Intelligenetics. Tom, you've got a complex system here. First of all, tell me how this would be different from the system we saw in the first part of the program.
Well, one way is that it's different is that we can develop a graphics environment which connects to the underlying knowledge bases so that the user really is just fooling around with meters and valves and objects that they're used to. Here, for example, if we look at this levelometer, we can just point to it.
Before you get to that, what's the environment we're looking at here?
Well, this is the key system, the knowledge engineering environment, and we have knowledge bases hooked up to a control panel right here at the moment, and it's just a little example to show you how we can hear
a control panel of what?
This could be a control panel, say, to a nuclear reactor, or to an instrument, or any other kind of operational device that you would want to work with. And here, for example, we're just changing the value of a meter, and notice that it's generating a strip chart showing the time course behavior. Another thing we can do with these kinds of panels is we can go in and look at valves, and we can affect the valve whether it's open or shut. Now, what's important about this is affecting an underlying knowledge base, which will then apply heuristics and decision-making procedures to the system.
Now show us that, how you can go to the part, there you go,
Sure.
Solve a problem.
Well, what we see underneath here now is a knowledge base for a nuclear reactor. And we can have a representation of the components of the nuclear reactor, as well as a representation of the decision-making behavior that would be carried out by the expert. And what you will see here is that it's both possible to use rule-based reasoning as well as representation of the underlying knowledge. One of the first things we'll do here is just take a look at how we could test the hypotheses of a particular accident situation. and we just point to test hypotheses and activate it here. And what we see the system doing is going through a decision-making process where it's accessing the underlying knowledge base, looking at the various states of the components. And by the way, the states of these particular components can be accessed directly into the instrument or into the nuclear reactor.
Now you can actually interrogate the system and ask it what course of logic is it following, is that correct?
That's right. Right now it's come up and asked the operator a question. Is it true that the steam generator level is decreasing? So we can say, why is this being asked? And it will explain to us that it's doing it in order to prove that the steam generator inventory is inadequate. We will then give it an answer, and it goes on to reach a conclusion.
Okay, Tom, this system runs in Lisp. Why is Lisp the right language for an AI application?
Well, one of the reasons that Lisp is so important is that you need to have very powerful symbol manipulating capabilities. Decision making is primarily a symbolic activity. Knowledge representation is primarily symbolic, and you need that kind of capability.
Okay, thank you. Herb.
John McCarthy has joined us. John is a professor of computer science at Stanford University and one of the pioneers in the field of artificial intelligence. Among his other accomplishments, he invented Lisp, the language that Stuart just referred to. John, why did you invent Lisp?
Well, for artificial intelligence work, the kind of thing that they are doing here.
What are its characteristics that make it different than some other language as applied to artificial intelligence?
Besides the ones that Tom mentioned, one of its important characteristics is that its programs and data are in the same format as its data, so that it is easy to make programs that produce programs and look at programs.
So it allows us to deal with facts and logic more than numbers.
That's correct.
I guess it's on everyone's mind when you talk about smart machines. How smart can machines become? What are the limits of artificial intelligence?
Well, I see no limit short of human intelligence, and then with faster machines one could do the equivalent that a human could do in a short time in a very long time.
Niels, what's your thought on that? How far can we go with it?
Well, I'd separate some of the problems that we're facing in order to make machines more intelligent into about 3 different varieties. We've heard a lot about how important knowledge is. And one of the important things about knowledge is what knowledge should be represented in a program. And some of the difficulties that we're having in making programs smarter is that we're not sure exactly what it is we want to tell those programs about certain subjects. Another category is, once we figure that out, how do we represent the knowledge in the computer itself? And certain kinds of knowledge is proving a little difficult for us to represent it. The third category has to do with how that knowledge is used, and certainly there's various activities there that have been rather successful, but other things that really have to be done yet.
Is there a frustration level in this field, in that there's a lot of hope of what you can do with something like AI, but yet, as you pointed out, because it seems harder perhaps than one thought to really put this into a practical application?
Well, there is a certain level of technology in artificial intelligence today, and many people are making applications based on this technology. On the other hand, something that Niels said earlier rouses a thought in me. He said that we can put in the knowledge of a world-class expert, and that's indeed true. We can put in the knowledge of a world-class expert, provided it fits into the format that the present programs allow, namely of the kind, if this is true, then do that. But more general kinds of knowledge that are used in a sort of vaguer way are sometimes harder to put in.
Say, in the medical diagnosis area, at the beginning of the program, we had a simple example of medical diagnosis. There were several systems developed, and yet there were problems, in fact, in using that. What were those problems?
Well, I'm not sure what were the problems of those specific systems. However, to take a medical example, one can make a definition that a container is sterile if all the bacteria in it are dead. However, this piece of knowledge is not used in a special way to determine whether a container is sterile by examining each of the bacteria. It's used as part of more general facts, like if you heat the container enough, then the bacteria will be all killed, and the fact that if the container is not sterile and you empty it out onto a culture medium, then you'll get colonies of bacteria. And the still further fact is important, that if you leave the bacteria in food, then they will spoil it.
Niels, where do you see the future practically going in AI? What's the biggest potential market, if you will, for these kinds of applications?
Well, it seems to me that expert systems, as they have been going along, probably represents a rather large market. And we'll continue to develop systems that are less brittle over the next 5, 10, 15 years. Another very important application is computer programs that are able to converse with humans in English, everyday, ordinary language. And that's going to make computers accessible to a much wider variety of people.
We have just about a minute. I like your phrase, brittle. Explain more what you mean by a brittle system.
Well, it has to do with being able to reason about the context, I think, in which a particular discussion or conversation with the expert system is taking place. If the information that's needed to reach a certain conclusion is there and is there explicitly, then the system is usually able to come up with some reasonable answer. If it has to have what you might call common sense knowledge that all of us learn by the time we're 10 or 15, then it has a good deal more difficulty, and as a matter of fact fails in many of those cases.
So ironically, common sense is the most difficult thing.
Very few people who are willing to pay for putting common sense knowledge into a computer, whereas it is interesting and commercially important to put knowledge about a nuclear reactor into a computer.
Okay, gentlemen, we're out of time. Thanks very much for being here. Thank you for joining us on this edition of the Computer Chronicles.
About what specifically we want to know from Bill Clinton. He talked about there's a lot of photos. In your research, in your study, do we know where all those photos were taken? Has that been revealed publicly? No, this is all very murky as to the exact location of those photos.
Microfocus, creators of visual programming tools for software development, is pleased to provide major funding for the Computer Chronicles, the story of this continuing evolution.
Flights, visits to the White House, contributions apparently to Clinton interests like the Global Initiative. That's a lot of contact points. And they want, so Clinton's not going to be able to do what Hillary did and said, well, you know, I had a sort of loose relationship with Maxwell, but I had no interaction with Jeffrey Epstein. That's not going to work here. And so Clinton's going to have to explain that.
Jonathan, Hillary Clinton made this remark yesterday, and I'm wondering if Bill Clinton's going to use this. She said a lot of people didn't know what Jeffrey Epstein was doing at the time that they knew him. Can't he just come here today and just say, I didn't know?
It's going to be hard because the relationship with Epstein was so regular. It's hard to believe that Clinton did not pick up his pattern of misconduct. Epstein never made a secret of that. If you went to his home, he had pictures of girls in very revealing circumstances.
Random access is made possible by a grant from Popular Computing, a McGraw-Hill magazine.
I'm Susan Bimba, sitting in for Stuart Chappé. In the Random Access file this week, the Commerce Department has made a move to stop the export of technology to countries allied with the Soviet Union, hitting the Digital Equipment Corporation with tough new restrictions on its exporting practices. Now DEC has to get individual export licenses for each sophisticated computer it ships to West Germany, Austria, or Norway. Government officials say in these countries, computers can be easily diverted to the Eastern Bloc countries. Several months ago, one of DEC's computers was intercepted en route to the Soviet Union, but the company was found to be blameless in the incident. Despite a strong lobby by the high-tech industry, President Reagan has given the Pentagon power to advise the Commerce Department on computer and high-tech exports to all foreign countries. The Pentagon already had the right to advise about applications for exports to communist countries. The Pentagon Pentagon feels its input would help cut down on the number of computers that get diverted from non-communist countries to communist ones.
It's a matter of perspective.
The National Semiconductor Corporation could be banned from making chips for government projects. Early this month, the company admitted that over a 3-year period, it inadequately tested chips that were used on many military projects. Now the Defense Logistic Agency is investigating National Semi, trying to find out exactly who's responsible for lying to the government about the testing. Despite these problems, National Semiconductor is reporting a profit of $15.4 million for the quarter ending March 4. IBM is reporting big demand for its little computers. The company says this year its shipments of the PC will be triple what it was last year. It's estimated that IBM will ship more than 2 million of its PCs, PC Juniors, and other desktop IBM computers combined. And now that IBM is making its own portable computer, it looks as if Compaq, the maker of IBM-compatible portables, will be lowering its prices. So far, no date has been given for the price cut, but industry insiders say it will probably be around the beginning of April. Right now, the Compaq portable sells for $2,995. That's $200 more than the IBM portable. With a projected $500 cut, the Compaq will sell for $300 less than the IBM portable. Atari Incorporated is making cuts, but it will be employee cuts. The video game maker says it plans to lay off about 300 workers. At the same time, an Atari spokesman says there are plans to expand the sales and engineering staffs by about 100. Last year, the company lost over $500 million, laid off more than 2,000 of its Bay Area workers, and moved part of its operation to Taiwan and Hong Kong. Well, last week we told you the Japanese Trade Ministry may introduce a bill that would reduce protection of U.S. software in Japan. This week, the U.S. government is warning that if Japan's parliament ratifies the bill, the U.S. will retaliate in kind. If approved, the bill would limit copyright protection to U.S.-made software, making it necessary for U.S. software owners to license their programs to Japanese makers. Well, a little closer to home, our software reviewer, Paul Schindler, has some information for blackjack bucks who don't have money to burn.
In the NASDAQ, it's heavy AI-driven stocks.
If you gamble in Nevada or Atlantic City, that's a familiar sight, the shuffling of blackjack cards, usually accompanied by the sight of your money being swept in by the dealer at the end of the round. Well, if you're tired of losing, there's a computer program for you. It's Ken Houston's Professional Blackjack. Now, it's pretty rare when a writer gets top billing when they name a computer program, but Houston deserves it. He's a former official of the Pacific Stock Exchange, and now he's a full-time gambler. Of course, some people would say that isn't much of a switch, but anyway, on a recent trip to Las Vegas, Houston was kicked out of 5 casinos after winning more than $100,000. Now, most computer blackjack games will just play blackjack, but the old software catalog and reviews says Houston's Professional Blackjack will teach you how to play the game and win using various points. The graphics are crisp, the tables are clean, the cards realistic looking, and the sound is good too. You can hear the cards hitting the table. Another use of sound, the program advises you on betting and card play, and it beeps at you when you lose. Ken Houston's Professional Blackjack is $70 from Screenplay in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. For Random Access, I'm Paul Schindler.
Next week, Paul reviews Volkswagen Deluxe, and that's it for this week's Random Access. I'm Susie.
Random Access is made possible by a grant from Popular Computing of McGraw-Hill magazine.
A bit of a roller coaster. There was obviously the Venezuela thing that caused it. We saw that massive surge in silver and gold for all different reasons. We saw that absolute evisceration of the whole crypto and the Bitcoin market. Once again, so many mixed money, a lot of rotation, right? As you gave me one of my greatest gems of all gems, which was to start looking at advances versus declines at the end of a busy day, when you've got days where the markets are at a weird protraction, if that's even a word, where your Dow's up big and your S&P's down big, but you look at the advance versus declines, and they are 50-50, right? And so obviously that tells us, and people who've been in this business for a long time, that that's rotation. People aren't dumping stocks; they're getting out of some, right, and they're getting right back into something else. They're adjusting. I think that was the biggest contributing factor. factor to, we saw the Dow, right? When this market was under a lot of pressure from the tech side, we saw the Dow break above 50,000, stay there for 4 days, and act really strong. And what that was clearer was that, you know, those are the industrials. Those are those names that buy America. And, you know, and so while tech has been under a lot of pressure, and from my explanation, it's been a lot of it of, at least that's what Dan talked about, was that there's a lot of sort of a pushback. Look, nothing has changed in the story fundamentally, but there has been a little pushback on the timeline for the data centers and all that. And what you have is people who have been, you know, riding this wave of AI, who have become very accustomed to this fast and furious trend, and they got impatient, right? It's not like those feelings are not facts. They're not, you know, the players in the game, the NVIDIAs of the world, the Palantirs, are not going to change their posture because their investors are impatient over it.
And these are high valuation stocks. So if the market gets into a little bit of a queasy mode for a few days, high valuation stocks are going to hit a little bit. That's just the reality. You know, so
100%. And people, investors, need to understand.
Right.
And when that happens, if you examine that nothing, and we talked about it over time and time again with Dan and with you.
You better read this in Clinton's voice. President Clinton's opening statement to the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee. Good morning, welcome, Chapter Quinn. And they went to him just like with West Western. I'm here today for two reasons. The first is I love my country. And America was built upon the idea that no person is above the law, even presidents, especially presidents. Yeah, their whole new spin is they want Trump now to be before the committee. Democracy requires every person to play their part, and I hope that by being here today, we can bring ourselves a little further away from the brink and back to being a country where we can disagree with one another civilly, while my surrogates viciously attack and burn down the country, and we try to cut your son's penises off. Sorry, he didn't say this. Democracy requires we put fentanyl on the streets and fluoride your water. Democracy requires every person to play their part. And I hope shipping drugs into Mean, Arkansas and killing all those kids is a good thing. I don't love Satan, no hell Satan. Sorry. I'm going to stop now. Next really said. Democracy requires every person to play their part. I hope by being here today, we can bring ourselves a little further away from the brink and back to being a country where we can disagree with one another civilly, where the search for truth and justice outweighs the partisan urge to score points and create a spectacle. I'll do my part, and I hope you'll do yours. My surrogates burn everything down and literally say black people are evil and America must die. Our emails, WikiLeaks say we're going to create a race war. We love you. We love you. The second reason I'm here is that the girls and women's lives Jeffrey Epstein destroyed deserve not only justice but healing. Oh, you better try to get right in there. Okay. This isn't really funny, but. Epstein ended years before. Here we go. The second reason I'm here is that the girls and women I was unable to rape, but I'm sorry they were able to escape. But the children I ate were delicious. Sorry, he didn't say that. He didn't say this. The second reason I'm here is for the cocaine. I know you guys got a lot of it. Hunter might be here later. Sorry. This is actually a... Stop it, Jones. Got a little cocaine with her up there. Take you in there. Get for you. I love David Rockefeller. I love Bill Gates. Oh, baby. Oh, baby. Oh, yeah. Oh, buddy boy. Oh, this is better than Big Mac. Let me get back to this work I'm doing here real quick. The second reason I'm here is that the girls and women whose lives Jeffrey Epstein destroyed deserve not only justice but healing. They've been waiting too long for both. Oh, my brief acquaintance with Epstein, thousands of meetings. Through my brief acquaintance where I met him once and shook his hand at a train station. I'm sorry. Through my brief acquaintance with the Epstein's ended years before its crimes came to light. Though the Democratic Party fought to cover him up so well, he failed. And though I never witnessed during our limited interactions at the secret island or the hundreds of meetings and all of the planes and flying around the world with other known pedophiles with him. Sorry. See, I'm just adding the truth there. Back to rolling. Through my brief acquaintance with Epstein ended years before his crimes came to light, and though I never witnessed during our limited interactions, indicated